Okay, now the spine line, which is also called the headline, reveals the health of your spine, and it'll show if you have problems with vertebrae or discs in your back. It will show if they are subluxated, and what this means is they're turned out of place or they could be damaged, or you could have a condition such as scoliosis or a twisting of the spine. It starts right there between the thumb and index finger, or the Jupiter finger, and travels across the palm just under the Mercury finger. Now pull up your spine chart. It's called the Chart of Effects of Spinal Misalignment, and that section underneath the index finger, if you're on your spine line underneath the Jupiter finger, that represents your cervical spine, kind of that neck area, that 1C to 7C, and it goes down to what's called the Dowager's Hump. This is the hump that you see in older folks when they're walking around and they're kind of bent over there at the neck, just under the bottom of the neck and the top of the back. That's where your cervical spine is. Then the area just underneath that Saturn or that middle finger is your thoracic spine. This is your 1T down to your 12T. That's the back that goes all the way down to your waist. Then there's that area underneath the sun finger or the ring finger, and that's your lumbar area. This is 1L to 5L. This is kind of your waist and your hips. Then of course you go down to your sacrum and your coccyx to the tailbone, which is underneath that little or that Mercury finger. Let me tell you a little bit about, Kat has a master's degree in health education, and when she was going to college she was developing her craft in hand analysis, and she came across a book from a longtime doctor, Dr. Eugene Scheinman, and he talked about how your spinal health absolutely shows in your hands, and working with Kat over the years, it's proven to be very real and accurate. And I always get a little chuckle when I hear back on some of the past clients that have taken their charts to their chiropractor or their physical therapist and having an evaluation, and the medical care provider was amazed how spot on the charts were. Okay, let's look at your chart. If you look over there on the left hand side of your chart, you'll see an image of a spine, and we're going to start right at the very top part of that image. You can see that 3C kind of right there in the middle of that neck and that cervical spine, all the way down through the 7C and then into that thoracic spine, the 1 and 2T. Looks like you've got some issues in that spine. Oh, let's see. Oh, you didn't say if you had any damage or not in that spine. But then that 5T down to the 9T, kind of that middle part of that lower back, you could have some misalignment or just turned out of place. And then that 2L down to 4L, that's that lumbar region, kind of down in that hip area. Looks like you've got some issues there. Then if you look over to the right, you'll see the areas column, and that'll show you the parts of the body that are affected when you've got some issues in that spine. And of course the effects all the way over to the right will show you what kind of symptoms. And I know that when we were looking in that heart line, we'd seen some little stressor markings there. When that 2T's out of place, that makes that heart work a little harder than it needs to. Puts a little stress on that. And that can lead to a little bit of chronic fatigue, some anxiety. And then when we looked in that headline, we'd seen a little bit of anxiety. I don't think we have any depression in there. Maybe a little bit here and there. But that definitely exacerbates that anxiety, especially when you've got that 7C out of place too. So you can look around the chart there and see what other symptoms you may have, and this could be a possible instigator of that. And I'll tell you, when we see this, what we usually suggest is to get into a good chiropractor, or even better yet, a good physical therapist, see if they can get that realigned, get that energy flow down from the brain down through the rest of the body. We find a lot of times that when people get those realigned, that they just have a lot more energy, a lot more ambition, and they just feel a lot better during the day. So that's something to consider. And I've seen many of Kat's clients and people she's done readings for, they'll take these charts down and show it to their doctors, and it's kind of a funny story how people will come back and their doctors are just amazed how accurate these spine charts are.